all you sports fans out there, and welcome to the Hot City Sports Talk, The Revival. And this week, we are with former Michigan State Spartan NFL and XFL corner, Demetrious Cox. Demetrious, nice to have you on the show this week.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. So we're going to start off with your high school career. Tell us first, where did you go to high school, and what positions were you in for high school for football?
I went to Jeanette High School, probably about 30 minutes outside of Pittsburgh. I played quarterback and safety.
Quarterback and safety, nice.
All right, so we know you're amazing at the sport of football. So what other sports did you play in high school besides football?
I was just football and basketball, man. So as soon as football was done, it was straight to hoops and vice versa.
Nice.
I hear that. So now, since you play both quarterback and quarterback and defensive back, did colleges recruit you more as a quarterback or as a defensive back? And were you willing to go to a lesser school than Michigan State to be a quarterback rather than a defensive back?
Yeah, I had some schools recruit me for quarterback. They said that they would bring me as an athlete, things like that. But I've always known since, Little League that I wanted to play defense. So safety was always kind of like my forte. And I just always, I like to hit people and stuff like that my whole life. So.
Definitely not me. Being a kicker in high school, definitely not like you. Try not to hit people. That was not my thing. So I wish I was like your type. I could hit.
Nah, man. You see all this stuff with CT and stuff going on now, man. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get my kids into like baseball and hoops or something.
Or a good alternative too is flag football. Definitely, because you played that as a kid. It's a lot of fun. I feel like you still get that same competitiveness, but yeah, just sports in general are amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So you talked about getting offers from other school to play for their team. So what made you choose Michigan State overall than other schools that gave you offers?
It was really the people that came to see me, man. I had a lot of guys from other, D1 schools that came out to recruit me and stuff, and just getting to know Coach D'Antonio and Harlan Barnett and coming to the campus and meeting everybody and, the values that they had with their the culture that they had was just really the selling point for me. It was about family and, faith and all that.
Absolutely. Did you visit Michigan State before you came to the state of Michigan? And also, what did you major in when you were at Michigan State?
No, actually, my visit to Michigan State was my first time ever being in the state, and it was a long little drive. I think we actually went to Michigan State, and then we kept going right after that up to Wisconsin, and I can't even lie. The whole time I was just like, man, it was like spring. And it was like, man, that Michigan State campus and everything was just crazy. Like, we got to go back there. It was really dope. My major was capital management, so I was big into economics and stuff like that, thinking about my future and longevity and things.
Wow, that's definitely an interesting major, because for all the people that we've your teammates and stuff that we've interviewed. Business marketing, that's a popular major amongst those guys, but to hear that major, it's definitely an interesting take especially for a Division I football player. So very, very interesting.
Yeah, and hearing all of our guests that went to Michigan State so far, I love how everyone is able to have the same answer, saying they love the atmosphere, they love the people, they just love the campus itself. It's just really good to hear that about how everyone has that love for that campus.
Yeah, absolutely.
So continuing on with college football. So as part of our revival season, we've had guests like Darian Harris, Benny Fowler, Kyler Ellsworth, and you guys were all at the same team at one point. Do you still keep in contact with any of those guys that you played with?
Yeah. We a lot of my teammates, man. We all in touch. I'm in like 3 different group chats with Darian. We talk. Actually, me and Darian probably talk like every day, literally. Actually, I was just in a group chat talking to him. One of our guys was trolling us, saying that the Last Dance could have been better, and we were like, "You're," but yeah, but nah. So yeah, we talk like every day. I talk to Benny all the time. He was actually one of the guys, like, when I was coming to campus in high school. I was like, Benny's real outgoing, energetic, so he's always talking a lot of shit and stuff. So he was one of the guys that was like, man, you better be bringing your ass here. Like, you know what I mean? Trying to get me and bringing me under his wing when I was young. So a lot of us, man, actually Trey Waynes just called me asking me how to get into the Cincinnati Bengal facility. So we all keep in touch, man.
Wow. I mean, absolutely. Like you said, Benny's just all, he's full of character, full of life. And that's what we had. That's what we got with him in our interview. And I was fortunate to meet him a few times and just seeing him in person, just on how energetic he's been with his camps back here in Michigan, with every year in the summer. So he's just a ball of energy, especially when all you guys come back around. Man, it's a real party once you guys are all back together. So.
Yeah.
So continuing with that, when you guys were there for the Rose Bowl, going back to that season, did you guys do anything for fun before the game that week? And also, did you keep any of the roses or confetti, champagne bottle, anything from that celebration after that game?
Yeah, man, the Rose Bowl was crazy. That's probably like outside of the game itself, was probably what a lot of guys would say was the most memorable, because we was in LA. I think that was my first time being in LA. We were in LA. There's a lot of our first times being in like Cali, in LA alone. You know what I mean? Being a lot of Detroit, Ohio guys and stuff like that, Midwest guys and East Coast guys. So yeah, it was fun to be out there, man. We get off the plane. They rolled out the red carpet, literally. All the Rose Bowls, the staff was out there like lined up, man, we went to Disneyland. We had the whole ESPN zone in Disneyland to ourselves, actually. We were just in there like unlimited games. Guys were in there sweating, like playing basketball, like shooting who could get the most shots up in the the hoops and stuff. It was fun. It was just fun going and see the all the stars and stuff like that, man. It was crazy, and that's one I'll never forget. It was great. As far as keeping stuff, I know a lot of guys that have still have like roses and stuff like that, trying to keep that alive. My parents, I didn't care too much about this at the time, but my parents like made this a point, and I'm glad they did. If you play in the game, you can get your name like on a brick, and it's like your name in the game that you played, and it's outside the stadium, and in the year and stuff, and it's like outside on the stadium, and it'll just be there forever. So that was like something that I'm glad my parents got done for me.
Wow,
that's really cool.
That's really a cool thing to hear, especially with the Rose. Well, like we said, like we've talked to Kyler, Benny, all those guys. But that Rose Bowl being the last Rose Bowl under the old format, so that game must have. It's a really special now to have your names outside of that stadium now, considering the Rose Bowl is now part of the college football playoff. Hoping that we get that coming in this season. But Matt, just winning that Rose Bowl like you guys did, that last one, the stop, everything else in between, that was just an unbelievable game that Spartan fans will never forget. Which brings me to the next game that Spartan fans and Michigan fans don't like to remember, but state fans do. It's October 17th, 2015, and let's just cut to the chase. What was going through your mind before the ball was snapped for Michigan, and during the play? Take us through what was going through your mind and the atmosphere of the team on the sideline as that play was unfolding.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. Man, it was just one of those games. Like in our team, our team through those years, we never ever would give up. Like, we never lost hope. We never thought that the game was over. And then we had McGarrett King's back returning punts, and he was like electric and he could do something. He could return a kick at any time. So I was thinking, man, like he was gonna pop the kick. And then actually, it's crazy. You know, we made a stop. We made the stop before the punt. And me, Darian, and like a couple guys, Shalik, we're out there like, man, we should keep the punt return team off and just all of us just go block it. And then the coaches are saying, no, get off. So we finally gave in, came off the field. We're just standing there, and we're like, man, like we should have stayed in and went and blocked that kick. And then all of that unfolded. And I promise you, when that stuff was happening, I was just staring like I couldn't even believe what was going on. I was just staring, and everyone's going crazy around me, and I was just standing there, kind of like looking at Watts, hoping that he wasn't gonna step out of bounds like right at the wrong time, and he kept going and got in bounds, and I just couldn't believe it. I'll just never forget like how I was frozen. I was just frozen. It was a good probably 20 seconds before I really like started to react and celebrate, because that was crazy.
I mean, just to look back at it now, being about 4 seasons ago, it's just an unbelievable way to end a game. Let's just, all Michigan had to do was just snap, punt, and kick. Game was done, and and then that just happened. One of the best finishes ever in the history of college football. I couldn't imagine being a Michigan fan in those stands, because I'd just be absolutely furious. As a State fan, I wouldn't believe it either. I didn't believe it when I first checked it, when I got into when me and Brian both got checked into our homecoming dance, is when we found out you guys won our freshman year of high school. And I'm like, I was just checked to see what Connor's final stats were, throwing the ball and receiving wise, what Burbridge did and stuff like that. I'm like, wait a minute, it says they won. I'm like, I kept refreshing my phone, and I saw the replay, and by the time I had about 20 guys around me in my little iPhone 4 just looking at it, and all of them Michigan fans, and me just a State fan. I'm celebrating, I'm screaming in the gym. It was a fantastic moment that I won't forget for a very long time.
Absolutely, man. I got like I heard probably about a dozen stories, man. Even just my boys that didn't play, that were at like, they couldn't get tickets to the game, but they came and they were at Michigan bars, or like my parents, or the guy on the news that said that the game, was talking crap about, the game and stuff. And then it was like, oh wait, like hold up, like that was false information. We the final score was such and such. Like, nah, it was crazy, man. And then my boys were talking all type of cash, and they were talking, especially to the Michigan fans, when they thought that they won, and we had beat them like 7 years straight or something prior to that, or something crazy. So
yeah, I mean, I remember my dad came home one day and he said, I got 2 tickets for that game in Ann Arbor. But I'm like, it's the same day as my homecoming, and my parents, you have to go to this. You have to go to your freshman year of your dance. You have to go. And I had a date and everything. I'm like, I really want to go to this game. Now looking back, I'm like, holy crap, I should have went to that game.
Yeah.
So it was just an unbelievable game, and give every single one of you guys credit in that game for everything that you did to make that moment happen.
I appreciate
it. Legendary.
That's definitely a game no one will forget.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy. We ended up calling Watts like the legend for the rest of his career there. Jalen Watts, the legend.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. So now with all that being said, you guys would go on to win the Big Ten championship over Iowa as well, and with that crazy comeback in the Cotton Bowl. So with that, what were you thinking being down 20 points in the fourth quarter to Baylor as a comeback happened within about like 10 minutes left in the game?
Yeah, like I said, man, like through those years, we never gave up hope, and it was kind of like Baylor was so one-dimensional that year. Speaking from a defensive standpoint, that was my first year really transitioning the corner. I was rotating in kind of with Trey, who was young at the time, Trey Waynes, and Tony Lippett, who was playing offense and defense. And then I was a corner. Arjun Calhoun was a corner. We were all kind of like rotating in, especially because Baylor's offense was like super fast. And so, all through that bowl preparation, we knew we were gonna be in Dallas. We knew we were gonna, it was gonna be hotter than we were used to. It was gonna be a way faster offense than we were used to, tempo wise and just speed wise. And so all through the bowl prep, we were in the indoor with the heaters on the whole way up. 3 offenses like ready with a play ready. As soon as one play was over, we're coming back, lining up. So we were in like crazy shape. And that's what ended up really helping us win the game. And that was all really the defensive staff and Narduzzi and those guys like being prepared. So like really when it came down to making they couldn't run the ball at all. So it was all just one dimensional. And once they ran out of gas essentially, and the D line just kept coming, and our D line just kept coming and coming and coming, and never gave up. Then the offense, they were in shape, so they just kept pushing, and then those guys just lit it up. Keith Mumphrey, Lib, all those guys just started taking off, and it was kind of just after that we could feel that energy and just kept rolling with it, I mean, there was never one point where we were like, man, like we just got our asses beat. Like, nah, it was like, like they're only doing these little things that we just need to correct, and all we just need is that little edge, and we'll be all right.
I mean, looking at that game, and just seeing the momentum totally shift to your guys' favor is when your special teams blocked that field goal and returned it, and got you guys, Connor Cook and the offense set up really well in Baylor territory, and that's when it really shifted. That's when it really started to shift in that game, and that was again another game that year that gave Michigan State fans a lot of heart failure because we couldn't take it. So I tell you, it was just that game capped off an amazing year. Capped off a really great Big Ten championship run. Second one. No, I tell you that third one for the program in recent history. So kudos to you guys on that, and just shutting down Bryce Petty and Baylor's offense just to, like you said, contain it. The one-dimensional, because I remember watching that game, Baylor couldn't run the ball for nothing. And Bryce Petty was just trying to just lighting it up from deep. You guys in the secondary, you guys in the linebacking core took it over. Defensive line did their job, and the rest is history.
Absolutely. And our coaches made great adjustments that game. It was really good adjustments. We were a whole different defense, I feel like, late in the game.
Absolutely. So looking at those games, looking back at your entire college career at Michigan State, what is your favorite game that you were a part of?
My favorite game that I was a part of was definitely, and I wasn't so much a part as the main core as other games, but this game, the Michigan game where we held them to -47 rushing yards, and it was like dark. It was like a dark game at Michigan State. Like just gritty, dirty, physical as hell. We were beating the hell out of them. There was nothing better. There was no better feeling than that. It just was the most satisfying Michigan State day for me. Yeah, and I could even think of
just shut down scum. I mean, that's just how it is.
Yeah, no bad.
So next for you, we're not gonna have like traditional questions about like your career, your NFL, XFL college career. We're gonna talk about just random questions. We're gonna play some rapid fire questions on you, just about random stuff, just to get to know you better. So, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, I'll go first. So, what is your favorite food?
Ooh, I gotta go crab.
Okay, crab. Okay. Favorite either bowl city or NFL city to visit?
Ooh, I would have to be Houston so far.
Houston. Okay.
Alrighty, next for you. If you could have any superpower, which one would you pick?
Off the top of my head, I'd probably have to go with instant transmission, be able to just zap anywhere at any time, zap out.
Teleportation.
Teleportation. There you go.
That's a good one. What is the first thing you are going to do once this entire crazy pandemic and quarantine is over?
I actually, I want to get all the guys and like go up to whatever the first event that's going on in East Lansing. I don't know if it's going to be a summer practice, whatever. I want to get all those guys back together. I miss like just because we missed the spring game. We missed a lot of stuff this year. So getting everybody back together, that'll be good. I think actually we might do something like crazy, like go to like Vegas or Toronto or something like that. But
there you go. Hopefully Vegas will be open for you by then.
Yeah, good point.
So back in your college, so just picture yourself back at Michigan State in your college days. There's a zombie apocalypse at Michigan State. Who are 3 people that you want on your team to survive out of your teammates?
Zombie apocalypse?
Yep.
Man, I gotta go with all-time teammates.
Yeah, 3 people.
Will Golston.
Will Golston. All right.
Probably Shalik Calhoun. And probably got to go with Monte Nicholson.
All right. Hey, that's a good squad.
Not as hardcore as the last question, but still involving Michigan State. Well, what's your favorite place to eat at State?
My favorite place to eat at State is the Eastside Fish Fry, the cracked chicken. You gotta get the cracked chicken, and if you haven't had it, you gotta get that.
So there you go. Brian. There's a good tip for you when you go back in the fall, right?
Oh yeah, can't wait.
So, and finally, out of the 7, what is the craziest fashion trend you've ever rocked?
Craziest fashion trend? I don't know. I never really got too crazy. I always just I'm comfortable with like how I rock. I mean, I've done like overalls. I actually have like Champion like sweat material overalls I like to rock. I got I don't know. I don't really ever get like too out of control. I'm not like a Kanye type dude.
All right. So I'm transitioning now, going from your MSU career into the NFL. I want to ask you about the combine. Take us through a day in the life of the NFL combine. Like, when does it start? Which events do you have in a day? Where do you eat? Like, do you have scheduled media sessions? Do you have to hire an agent before you go to the combine? Like, take us through like what is combine life like? Because for us fans of media, we don't know what it's like on a day-to-day process.
Man, I can't even lie to you, man. I couldn't even make it to the combine, man. I couldn't go. So I was just strictly pro day. Yeah, strictly pro day. I mean, that was crazy. Couldn't make it to the combine. But yeah, the pro day was crazy. A lot of activities and stuff going on there though.
Take us to okay. Since you were at pro day at Michigan State, tell us. Was it in East Lansing? Is there a different location for it? Take us through what pro day was like for you guys at State.
Yeah. So really just all the family. Yeah, it's right in East Lansing in the indoor across from Spartan Stadium. All the families are there, coaches are there. It's really like they try to keep. Well, they used to try to keep as many as the like friends of families out as they can, because coaches are there, like Mike Tomlin and all those guys are there, so they don't want any of those distractions. So all the guys like we're like, warming up all day, making sure we got good meals. They got like a lot of meals and hydration stations for us in there. We got to come in and get our gear that we're gonna work out in and everything. They bring us in, do our measurables and things like that. All the coaches are already in there. We hit the bench press and all those things, and then we go out on the field, get it done, and then really it's just a lot of Q&A, a lot of the coaches and scouts just asking a lot of questions, seeing filling guys out, seeing where you're at, and then really after that, it's just you and the guys, just finally after like not doing anything fun except for training for a couple months, it's finally time to just breathe and relax and let a load off and then get ready to focus on actually getting drafted.
Absolutely, that's the goal. That's 100% the goal.
So I was talking about playing the NFL and getting ready, preparation. So you arrived in Cincinnati. So what was the culture like going for you into Cincinnati? Like, were you intimidated by any of the veteran players, like for instance AJ Green or Perfect, and like what was it also like following up being with your old teammate Darquez Denard?
Man, it was a blessing being there with Quez, man. Well, Quez was actually me and Quez have like a really long relationship. He was hosting me on my junior year for my official visit, and every time I would come back, they would put me with Quez, and I saw him grow, and I saw him like turn into Jim Thorpe. So then for that, and then I was kind of like. It was him and then Trey and then Curtis and then me and then so it was fun to to come after that legacy and then to actually play with him at that high level and then and then that be out there in the NFL with him it was surreal for a little and being in a room with Pac-Man guys like that and then locker room with AJ and Burfict and all those guys. I mean, it was pretty cool. It was it's a lot of eye opening. It's people don't think Burfict is what he is. You know what I mean? People think that he's some like lunatic, but he's just a regular dude off the field. But he just has one speed on the field. He hits like he hits in practice like he hits in the game. He gets thrown out of practice for going too hard. So you gotta respect it, but at the same time. There are limits and there are boundaries to know what you do and respect for the game and things like that. So, but at the end of the day, after you kind of get there, you gotta come into your own and be like, man, this is just another dude that he worked just like I work and he's gonna have to respect me, just like I respect him. So. Once you get that down and you get the speed of the game down, it was cool. It was definitely cool.
Right, because I hear that too because the media, has had a bad rep. They've put Vontaze Burfict put him as a bad reputation. His time in Cincinnati, his time in Oakland, that are now in Las Vegas. So what you said, I wish more players like you come out and say like, he's not like this. He's actually a really, really good person and he's a really good linebacker. He's not a dirty player. He's not a, guy, head hunting for cheap shots and stuff like that. So for what you said, that was really well said. And unfortunately you were released by the Bengals, but you were immediately picked up by the Carolina Panthers. Was there an instant culture change for you going from Cincinnati to Carolina?
Yeah. I would definitely say that the culture was a little different. You could definitely see that the things like the locker room and how guys interacted with each other was different. Just the area of Carolina and how young and new and up and coming Charlotte was definitely that's a place that I'll always love and that I'll probably move back to. Actually, it was one of my favorite places to be. I love Charlotte, and I just love the culture that they had there. Everybody's so nice. They're really that Southern hospitality. And Charlotte was a really good place. Like I said, I'll definitely probably try to move back down there once I settle down and things like that.
So like you said, from your time in Carolina, who did you bond with? Who did you hang out with the most on and off the field?
Man, the DBs, man, are everywhere I go, man. The DBs are just like that group that everybody wants to just click with and be with, man. And it was the same in Carolina. My good friends were Kevon Seymour, who went to USC, James Bradbury, who was a big name corner there now. He was a younger dude. He was actually, I think a year after. He was the same year as me, I think, or a year before me. And so we were like the younger dudes in the room. Daryl Worley was there. He was the same year as me. A lot of the young guys, man. Lorenzo Doss, Cornelius Elder. It's a lot of guys, man. And it was crazy to see how like accepting and like guys like Luke and the older guys, Shaq Thompson and Thomas Davis. Those guys, man, those were like, they really showed me how to be professional and how to be how the difference between, vets and young guys, honestly. And that was like, what really sets their culture well down there is, that their vets really like lay the way for the younger guys.
Absolutely. And you look at the culture, the culture, it's shifting now in Carolina with everything that's been going on with Greg Olson and Kuechly and Cam Newton no longer with the team, and they're shifting into the Teddy Bridgewater mode. So it's definitely, so the culture, that you had in Carolina is now completely shifted. So it's very very cool to hear that you got to experience that type of culture with those guys. It's very very interesting to hear.
So still talking about your time in Carolina, we have this next question dedicating to our friend and other host Eric Higgins because he loves Carolina. Even though you talked about hanging out with the DBs during your time, did you get a chance to know Cam Newton and Greg Olson? He just always wanted to know.
Yeah, man. Cam is he's like a big, huge just kid that just loves to play and work hard, man. And he's that dude that's like every single day, man. Not one day does he take off where he's down in the dumps. And that's kind of like I wanted to start to playing at Michigan State, we all had like that really good, great energy where we had to come in and every day in and day out have energy. But like Cam, when I was on the field with him, man, it was a real like eye opener of how I wanted to be, how I wanted to interact with my teammates, how I wanted to come to work, how I wanted like the coaches to see me and my energy, how I wanted the fans I wanted to interact with all the kids. Like Cam really set that tone for me, like blast like music, like when guys didn't want to be in there, he's blasting the music like wake that ass up, we about to work today type. Like I'll always tip my hat to Cam for that. He went through like a lot of energy. Injuries and criticism while I was there, and I'll just have another level of respect for Cam for things that people didn't see that don't see, and you're not, and you won't hear it. But that's just the world we live in, and that's just
yeah. It's just I know you're probably hoping as much, as well as I am. I'm hoping that Cam he'll find a landing spot. I know that he will. There will be a team in this coming summer or fall that are going to be wanting his services. So he will be signed. I'm pretty confident in that. If Jameis Winston of the Bucs, after he got released and he got picked up by New Orleans, Cam Newton's definitely worthy of being on a NFL roster.
Absolutely.
So what has been the biggest lesson or lessons you were taught and that you learned and learn how to grow as a player and as a person by being in the NFL?
Again, like I was saying, like just about the things with Cam, obviously. I always reiterate that. Like everywhere I go, I've told people about that's where I get that energy from Cam, and really just when you go through the NFL and you're young, man, you just gotta learn those little lessons and pick everything up and be a sponge, because that's how you survive, and that's how that's how you become accepted in those cultures. And kind of like you see guys that are great players that kind of have trouble, that have trouble. They don't want to do that. They don't want to buy in. They don't want to. But that's what the vets want you to do, and that's what the coaches want you to do. They want you to buy in on what they believe in, and just little things about just being a pro that you don't know in college. You know what I mean? Just always taking notes, always being early, things like that. So yeah, that's just those are just a little important things.
Yeah, absolutely. Just staying, being there early, staying late, just taking up those little, just nuggets of information and just knowledge from these guys, at that level. So also in your football career, you made stops in Arizona, back to Cincinnati, and most recently with the New York Guardians of the XFL. First of all, tell us what is the biggest difference in terms of the culture between the NFL and the XFL.
Well, obviously the culture, we didn't have as many, crazy like facilities and things like that. The NFL, you kind of get spoiled with all types of facilities and just leisurely things, But the XFL, we were kind of grinding it out. We were like we were just working out in like big like we would work out in like a big high school weight room, and then or we would work out. We would drive up to Army, work out there, things like that. We were just getting it in, you know what I mean? And it was kind of like such a fast transition that they didn't really have all the things set in stone, and everything wasn't perfect. And but at the end of the day, it was a really, really good experience, a really actually enjoyable experience, especially, with the guys that I was with, the DBs that I was with, the teammates that I had. And those guys were like, it was a blessing to work with those guys, the coaches as well, man. And, it was kind of like we were like, man, like we about to make the best out of this and we're going to have fun. And that's what we went out and did.
So still talking about the XFL, just lifestyle and everything, asking this respectfully, of course, just the stuff that like it goes on behind the scenes and like stuff that the media or fans aren't able to see. Like, can you tell us anything that like happens behind the scenes in the XFL like spotlight that you can tell us?
I mean, it wasn't too much different than the NFL, man. It was like you gotta either handle your business and you gotta produce or you're gonna get cut. Really, it was kind of like just a D league of the NFL, but it was we were pros and we were a lot of the guys had been on NFL teams, so we kind of knew how things were supposed to be ran, and you saw the same scenario of guys that didn't want to buy in, that didn't really want to culture or the role on the team, and then they got out of there. So I tried my best to be as positive and be as much of a leader as I could, and that's kind of like the same. It was kind of like the same. It was really wasn't too much of a difference. We got to have a lot more insight on the field with the XFL, with all the cameras and the mics and everything. Man, like guys were fighting and swearing and all types of stuff, and we got all type of access. And I thought that was pretty cool. At the same time, it could have been frustrating to be a quarterback and throw an interception and have a camera in your face, but I mean that's just how the game.
Yeah, but I've watched a few games and just hearing the coverage teams that are all over the place. Listen to the coordinators and head coaches give the play calls to quarterbacks and hearing the pads hit really hard. It was really cool. And I have to ask you, because it's something that I noticed in the XFL compared to the NFL. Do you think the NFL will eventually switch to the mode of kickoffs that the XFL had this season?
Yeah, actually the kickoff thing was really a lot of the players liked it. Well, for one, you're not running as much, and guys like that. But I mean, it was actually really good for safety, man. Like it was like you weren't running 30 yards full speed, crushing into somebody that's 30 pounds heavier than you. You know what I'm saying? It was it was really controlled. I think the NFL will establish that kickoff mentality, and I don't know about a lot of some of the other rules, but I think a lot of the special teams rules will come into play. It was I thought that was really cool, really something that the NFL could benefit from.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a interesting thing when you watch it for the first time. You're kind of scratching your head like, wow, this looks very different compared to all kickoffs that we've seen before.
Right.
As well as after touchdowns, there's 1 point, 2 point, 3 point. So it'll be interesting to see if the NFL goes to that. I hope they still keep the extra point. The extra points good where it's at right now when they moved back about 5 years ago. So that's a very interesting take to to hear about the XFL kickoff, because I found it very interesting. So one final question for you. Unfortunately, due to this pandemic, among like every other league around the country and the world, the XFL season was forced to cancel. And do you think this league can come back after it took a hit from this pandemic, and it also took a financial hit as well?
Yeah, that was rough, man. Like a lot of the guys were really hurt. I was hurt. A lot of the guys were hurt. We were just getting rolling. It was really a shock. And some of the guys were like crying, because guys have got families and kids and stuff. But it was rough. But I definitely think it could. I wouldn't bet money one way or the other. I feel like I keep hearing about like, lawsuits and stuff going on and things like that to keep it going. But I don't know. A lot of, talking to, like my agent and, different coaches, stuff like that I know, nobody knows. Like everyone's in the dark, about what's going to happen going forward with the NFL, XFL, CFL. It's really standstill right now. That's kind of like, an issue with me, finding a home right now, is because a lot of this stuff's like no one knows really what's going on moving forward. So, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I wouldn't be able to give you an honest answer. But, I hope that they do. I hope they do, because it was actually like I think a lot of people, were liking it, and a lot of people were starting to, to really get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope the XFL comes back, because it's a great league to watch, just like the NFL, because I know the NFL's starting to roll out their plans. The NBA's starting to roll out their plans. We'll be hearing from them. Major League Baseball's rolling out their plans slowly. So hopefully the XFL, they're all meeting, and hopefully there's a plan coming to get the league, back in production and stuff like that. To have a league like that go again, it would be very unfortunate. So one last question I had for you. What did you think of the Last Dance documentary series?
Man, The Last Dance was amazing, man. There was a lot of emotion into that, a lot of like insight that I didn't know, a lot of eye-opening things that people didn't know about Jordan, and like just even about like the culture with the shoes and Nike and all that stuff. It was crazy. Knowing about it, learning about his father, actually hearing the audio of him crying after he won on the championship on Father's Day, things like that. Like that, I teared up when that happened. I just thought it was amazing. Like seeing all the stuff with Dennis Rodman, man, he's crazy, man. He's awesome. But I thought it was great. I haven't heard anybody except for my boy in the group chat say that it was anything but great. So
yeah. I mean, it was great just to hear, different profiles on players like Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr, like you said, Rodman, hearing Michael Jordan and the Bulls side of them getting over the hump in Detroit, because we had the 30 for 30 released on the Bad Boys in 2014. Now we hear the Chicago side of it, them getting over the hump, because the NBA has always been, in tears, because it goes Lakers, Celtics, 80s, Pistons interrupt, the Bulls are coming up, the Bulls dethrone the Pistons, the Bulls run, and then one of my favorite all-time teams, the Spurs, they take over in a dynasty, and then the Warriors and the Cavs, they go back and forth like the Lakers and Celtics. So it's really cool to see that, that documentary, and hopefully we'll get more like that. Maybe Kobe in his last year, I know they filmed that season, so hopefully that will come out eventually. Probably not in the near year or two, because we're all still shook up from his loss. So hopefully we'll see something maybe on the Warriors. We don't know, because that'd be an entertaining, or the Cavaliers. So that'd be an interesting documentary series. But Demetrious, we really appreciate you coming on with us this week. We hope that you continue to stay healthy, stay safe, and hopefully one of these days we'll see you in the XFL again when this whole crazy thing is over with.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on, and definitely you guys were awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Demetrious. You were awesome as well. Please keep in touch with the both of us. Stay healthy and stay safe. All right.
Thank you so much.
Go Green.
Go White.
man, that was a great interview. Great guy. Interesting to hear about what he, what he went through in college, playing with all
NFL,
the
XFL.
yeah, like Darian and Kyler and Benny and Darquez Denard, all those guys. Then going to the NFL, AJ Green, Cincinnati, Andy Dalton, Luke Kuechly, Cam Newton in Carolina, all those guys, and then going to the XFL, which is really new, and then it got taken away from us just like that. So it was a great interview, another great show. So please make sure to go and like and subscribe to this channel for more interviews like this. And please go check out all of our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And go check out our new official website to learn about all of our guests, more about us, social media links, and more. That link can be found in all of our social media and YouTube channel accounts. And please be sure to come back as we get ready for the 99th overall episode of the Hot Seat Sports Talk. 99.
Wow.
Who knows if we'll have a guest? Who knows? Who knows if we'll have a guest or not? But it'll be episode 99. So, and until then, apologies to Sam Martin, we ran out of time. And until then, until we meet again, stay healthy, stay safe. We're almost done. And as always, keep it fresh.